Lakers 15-2, 8 straight wins. I mean, they're just rolling. And when you think about Anthony Davis's time in New Orleans, he always had to carry the team to wins. It's clearly a better situation for him and how this season has started in LA.
Yeah, he's a great guy next to him, maybe one of the best players to ever play if he can maybe win 2 more championships. But the load is lighter. He's playing one-on-one. If you try to double him or put your best defender on him, which is kind of hard to do with LeBron, next to you, he has guys that can't really contain him. Right. And that team is built with veteran leadership beyond LeBron. That team is built with a veteran coaching staff that's seen it all before, so you can bounce things off of different guys, whether it's your teammate or even one of the coaching staff members.
I mean, watching, and let me ask, watching Davis, I mean, again, you've coached against him. What has been the biggest development that you've seen in him in the last couple of years that he didn't have when he was younger?
I would just say persistence. You know, when I coached against him, we used P.J. Tucker. He did not like a smaller, stronger guard up under him because his edge on taller players is that I'm quicker and I'm faster and I'm more skilled. They can't move. They're not that agile. But if you put a P.J. Tucker under him and just kind of beat him up and get up under him defensively, like Dick Carter used to teach us, right? It kind of takes away his advantage and it forces him to shoot over the top and become just a, consistent jump shooter without using the dribble.
Mm-hmm. When I look at the Pelicans and seeing what they got for Anthony Davis, Brandon Ingram seems to be the crown jewel in that, averaging 26 points per game. For the Lakers, the situation was they needed to make sure they developed faster, and Anthony Davis has clearly helped that to happen. But for Brandon Ingram and the guys that came over from L.A. to New Orleans, his development is really the most impressive of the three.
Yeah, and I think with Ingram, all he needed was opportunity. Mm-hmm. And when you're playing with LeBron James, you're not talking about developing. You know, when the Lakers signed LeBron James, in my mind,
50% from the floor.
Yeah, I was like, you got to win championships with LeBron James. So when you're talking about developing Ingram, now his wardrobe definitely has developed. But, now that he's with the Pelicans, I think he gets more opportunity, he gets more shot attempts. And I think Alvin Gentry is the perfect coach for him. And that system that Alvin runs is the perfect place for him.
Earl, talk to us about the UCLA guy in New Orleans now, Lonzo Ball. I mean, second pick in the draft. Here's a guy that came in with such fanfare. His numbers are still good, but in 11 games in New Orleans so far, what do you think of how he's performed?
You have unique personalities. If you know this, whether it's a teammate or you're coaching a player or you draft a player, you have to get into that psyche. And a lot of times it's not basketball, it's trust off the court to where they can come to you and feel vulnerable and have conversations that today I'm just not that confident, or what do you think about this? But Lonzo, we need Zoe as a big brother. We need Zoe to be more aggressive. We need him to take more chances. The fear of not being afraid what's on the other side of being comfortable is where I see him really propelling that team to another level. And I think he needs Zion. That's the type of player he is. He needs some guy that can get to the rim, and he needs some guy that can kick out for the three. They have the shooters. Now he needs some guy that can put pressure on the back line of that defense for lobs.
I think you hit on a key word when you said that athlete and that professional player has to feel vulnerable. Vulnerable enough to trust the people that are around him, coaching staff, so forth and so on. And clearly he didn't have that in L.A., and we're hoping that he gets that in New Orleans. Because, I'm like you. I've watched him since high school and in college, and I believe in this kid. I think he has the potential to be a really, really good basketball player in this league for a long time. And not only a really good basketball player, but I think he's capable of playing championship basketball, which is different than just being a player in the NBA.
You know what I would tell him? I would say, hey, Zoe, because he can rebound the ball. If you rebound the ball, he's such a great passer. He sees it so easy. Sometimes just put pressure on the rim, get a piece of the paint every time full speed, and force your will on the defense.
Isaiah, the last thing you said could have actually gone to Pascal Siakam as well. I mean, talking about a guy playing at a championship level, we saw it last year, and he's elevated it even higher. He tips off at 7:30 against the New York Knicks. You're watching the warm-up at about 4.
Time All-NBA. He wants to be the league's most dominant player.
Goes in. He mowed it down! Anthony Davis is on fire!
Anthony Davis reps informing the New Orleans Pelicans. Davis has requested a trade.
Anthony wants out.
AD's agent said he wants to be traded to a team that gives him a chance to win consistently. chance to compete for a championship.
He's wasting his years over there in New Orleans.
He's not going to win in the smoothie center.
Why do you want to be traded, Anthony?
It's like it's my time. I gave fans, city, organization, everything I feel like I could. And I feel like it's my time to move on.
Now everyone knows Anthony Davis' intent is to not re-sign with the Pelicans, and I think everyone assumed that before, but now it's a reality.
I think the writing's been on the wall for a long time.
It seems one of the biggest questions going into the NBA season was, would the Pelicans be pressured to trade Anthony Davis before the trade deadline?
There's no one in the league that we would trade him for, and there's no one out of the league. Yeah, not even Beyonce, okay?
So look, Alvin Gentry said it publicly, emphatically. We are not trading Anthony Davis.
Whatever decision he makes, I can't be upset with him. I know this is a business, but he's doing what's best for him.
You want guys to do exactly what they want to do in this league. You have a short amount of time, so why not do what you want?
We have some breaking news. The Los Angeles Lakers and the New Orleans Pelicans have agreed to trade Anthony Davis. The King and the Brow are now teammates.
The Lakers, they're going to always go out and try to get the best talent in the game. And I think they brought it home with AD.
If you're the Lakers, you went from a team that missed the playoffs to the favorites to win the championship.
I just wanted to take control of my career. You know, when I found out I was getting traded to the Lakers, I realized it was an unbelievable opportunity for me. I love the game of basketball. I'm ready to play. Obviously, it was tough for me to leave the city that I've been playing for 7 years, but as long as I can, sleep at night, and live with the decision that I made, then, I'm happy and I don't really care what no one else thinks. Take this season head on with the goal of winning the championship.
Best players in the league. I think he's one of the best centers. I think he could be an MVP contender one day, but it's so hard to handicap. Is this a game he's going to play a lot of minutes? Is he going to have the ball in his hands? He's just a massive gamble every single time he steps on the floor.
Well, one of the most elite scorers we've ever seen in NBA history is back on the court. Carmelo Anthony, after a year off, now getting more shots for the Portland Trailblazers, but does he have fantasy value?
Yeah, Carmelo was like, this ain't no farewell tour. Forget about that. Chrissy's still getting his shots up in 29 minutes. He's still averaging 16 shots a night. And I actually find him more likable. At 35 years old, I find myself pulling for him a little bit more. And of course I'm biased. I guarded him when he was on Baltimore Select. I guarded him in college when he was at Syracuse. It's going to be his first home game against the Thunder. I like his matchup against Gallinari, but he's still a score-first type of guy. I was at the game in Chicago when he went off, and I love the way that he was moving the basketball. That was the first time we've seen the Trailblazers actually at full strength. Whiteside, Lillard, and McCollum, and Carmelo. So, they're going to have to make up a lot of games in the West. But I got to ask you, Chris, he was FaceTiming his son during the game. If you and I exchange numbers one day, if I FaceTime you, is that okay?
No, actually, we had this whole breakdown, okay? That's family. That's his son. As a guy friend, I have one friend that does the FaceTime thing, and I just face the thing up to the ceiling like, man, just text me or call. So no, Doyle, you do not FaceTime me. That is against the rules. But let's get to your Doyle's daily lineups. How about that? Face this fact.
I'm going to spend a fortune on Giannis, and I think it's going to be well worth it. That's a game against the Hawks that I believe is going to be up and down. Brandon Ingram, redemption game for him. We talked about Anthony Davis. I think Ingram has benefited the most of Zion not being in the lineup. Ricky Rubio is going to push pace. Kaminsky, it's going to be a high-scoring game. Melly, his stats are much better at home than on the road. DiVincenzo is going to be in a high-possession, high-paced game. And Marcus Smart is like the human floor burn. He's always diving all over the place. He's always good for steals, blocks, just an agitator. Why I FaceTime, and I'm going to FaceTime you, Chris, is that way you're not doing something else. You're not cooking. You're not answering text messages. You and I are going to have a face-to-face conversation one day, all right?
No, see, it's multitasking, man. Like when you fill out your lineups, when I'm doing my FanDuel thing, I can sit there and be on the phone. If we're FaceTiming, you're like, are you paying attention? No, man, that's why we do. This is enough FaceTime for us, Doyle. How about that? Tim Doyle, appreciate you. Happy Thanksgiving to you as well. Oh, man, the Pelicans, all-time leader in points, rebounds, and blocks, just chilling in his old home at the Smoothie King Center. We'll continue to get you ready for tonight's 14 games.